Congratulations! If you are watching this video, then you already might own or be considering the purchase of one of the Singer Ultralocks, the machine that brings professional finishing into your very own home. Selecting any Singer product is a wise choice, but we're here to tell you why teaming an Ultralock with your traditional sewing machine is the right choice. Whether you're an experienced high-volume sewer who needs to save time, a creative sewer looking for innovative design capability, or a new sewer interested in cleaner, neater construction, you will love the advantages of the Singer Ultralocks. So sit back and let us show you what a Singer Ultralock is, how it operates, what it does, and why it will make sewing faster and more fun than ever. The Singer Ultralock is a versatile, special-purpose sewing machine that serves as a supplement to your conventional machine. Known in the garment industry as a serger, the Ultralock is easily identifiable by the number of threads it uses and by its overlocking capability, produced by loopers which work together to actually knit stitches. The Ultralock does not replace your conventional machine any more than a microwave replaces your oven. Both have their own uses. Unlike a traditional sewing machine, the Ultralock performs 3 distinct operations simultaneously. It sews, trims, and overcasts raw edges all in one high-speed step. In fact, the Ultralock can sew between 2 and 3 times the speed of a conventional model, roughly 1,500 stitches per minute, and it guarantees fast and professional finishes every time. In the simplest terms possible, the Singer Ultralock streamlines garment construction. The Ultralock excels at self-finished narrow seams, rolled and blind-stitched hems, and overcast edges to protect fabric from fraying. It is ideal for applying elastic, ribbons, lace, and ribbing, and invaluable when it comes to reinforcing the stress areas of garments such as leotards and swimwear. The Ultralock you're looking at now can be used with either 4 or 3 threads, hence its name, the 4-3 convertible overlock. If added reinforcement is what you're after, then use it as a 4-thread mock safety stitch, and when working with heavier fabric or fabric that will ravel excessively. Use this seam guide as your 5/8-inch guide. This Ultralock model uses regular sewing machine needles and is equipped with an on-off power switch and light. The tension knobs on the Ultralock are color-coded, and each thread has its own numbered tension control. There is also a readily accessible stitch length control dial for quick and easy stitch adjustments. Use number 4 or 5 on heavier fabric and number 3 on light to medium weight fabrics. The Ultralock also comes with 2 built-in trimming knives. One is movable, the other is a fixed lower blade. Together they work like a pair of scissors to shear away excess seam allowance as you sew. The lower knife needs to be changed periodically. Please follow the easy instructions in the manual. The Singer exclusive Flip and Sew panel converts the Ultralock into a free-arm machine that allows you to sew cuffs, sleeves, and other hard-to-sew areas. Another plus is that the hand wheel rotates in the same direction as on your regular machine to eliminate any confusion as you move between the Ultralock and your standard equipment. So, those are some of the Ultralock basics. To convert the 4-3 to a 3-thread machine to implement some of the construction techniques we're about to show you, just follow these easy steps. Simply clip the left blue thread, then remove the cone and the left needle, and presto, it's now a 3-thread machine. Your Ultralock comes pre-threaded, so you can begin sewing immediately, but as you can see, we've unthreaded it to show you just how easy the threading process is. Serger thread is traditionally wound on cones or tubes to provide the large quantities required for overlock stitching and are cross-wound for high speed. You can, however, use regular spools as well. Serger thread is usually smaller in diameter to help create smooth, flat seams and hems. A whole host of threads can be used. everything from cotton, silk, and metallic to lightweight yarns and buttonhole twist. These should be rewound on a cone so they are free to flow. To thread, first raise the telescopic thread guide holder as far as possible and set the guides so that they are located right above the spool pins. Place the thread cones on the spool stands. Here's a tip. It's a good idea to use different colored threads when learning to use the Ultralock. This way you can see the different function of each thread in forming the stitch and get an idea of which tension dials might need adjusting. Now, open the looper door and remove the cylinder cover. Note that a threading chart is diagrammed on the inside of the looper door and that the various thread guides are color-coded for your convenience. The right looper guide is orange. Taking the right looper thread between thumb and forefinger, slide it through the top orange guide and then around the orange tension disc, making certain it is properly secure. Then, sequentially following the lower orange marks, lead the thread up to the right looper. Use the tweezers provided in the accessory box to guide the thread through the looper eyelet, making sure to draw out about 2 inches of thread in the process. Then, using the same diagram, follow the yellow marks to thread the left looper. And the green marks to thread the right needle. Remember, the threading of the needle eyelets is easier when the needle bar is lowered and the movable knife is set in the non-operating position. Now, simply replace the cylinder cover, lower the knife if necessary, close the looper door, pull all of the threads to the left of the presser foot, and you're ready to sew. Once your Ultralock has been threaded, unless you so desire, you should never have to manually thread it again. And as you will see here, the steps for changing a thread are a snap. Simply cut it, replace the cone with the new thread, tie the new thread to the old with a square knot, clip the ends, make a note of the tension settings, then turn them to 0, and then sew the new thread through the machine slowly till the knot reaches the needle. At this point, the thread may need to be cut and manually threaded through the eyelet. The knot, however, will easily pass through the looper. Remember to return the tension dials to their original numbers. Please note, these tension dials are part of the Ultralock's one-turn system. As the number on the dial increases, the thread tension becomes tighter. In other words, the tension controls on the Ultralock are actually stitch selectors. Manipulating one or more tension controls affects the character of the stitch because it changes the way threads loop together. With specific tension adjustments, the Ultralock can stitch a wide variety of threads, fabrics, seams, hems, and decorative treatments. Here are some examples of balanced and unbalanced thread tension. This is a perfectly balanced stitch formed by 2 loopers and 1 needle. Orange upper and yellow lower looper threads form a neat, smooth chain at the raw edge. Green needle thread forms flat stitches without puckers. Here are some unbalanced tensions. Upper looper too tight. Orange upper looper thread pulls yellow lower looper thread to top side of fabric. To correct, loosen upper looper tension so threads interlock at raw edge. Lower looper too tight. Yellow lower looper thread pulls upper looper thread to bottom side of fabric. To correct, loosen lower looper tension until stitches lie flat and smooth on fabric. Right needle too tight. Fabric puckers or draws up lengthwise when green needle thread is too tight. To correct, loosen needle thread till fabric relaxes. On 4-3 thread machine, adjust each blue and green needle thread individually. Right needle too loose. Green needle thread forms loose loops underneath fabric. To correct, tighten needle tension for flat, smooth stitches. On 4-3 thread machine, adjust each blue and green needle thread individually. At this point, once your Ultralock is properly threaded and the tension adjusted, it's a good idea to run through the rest of the Ultralock checklist for ultimate sewing before you start to sew. Make sure your needle is new and inserted properly, that the lint area is free of lint, that the pressure has been correctly adjusted, and that the knives are sharp. Once you've run through this list, you should be ready to sew. Remember, any one of these 6 items can cause poor stitching. For years, the choice of professionals has been the over-edged closed seam. With the Ultralock, you can create this seam on virtually any fabric, from denims to the most delicate lingerie. It's especially good for swimwear and leotards since it stretches with the fabric. Because the Ultralock feeds fabric evenly without shifting layers, it's a cinch to apply elastic or lace to the edges of these delicate garments. To apply elastic, first rotate the knife into the non-operating position. Lay the elastic on top of the fabric so the raw edges meet. Then line them up with the edge of the throat plate. After securing the elastic with 2 or 3 stitches, run the machine so the fabric feeds while stretching the elastic smoothly and evenly with your right hand. This allows you to keep your left hand free to hold the fabric straight as you sew. To finish, simply turn down the edge of the elastic and top stitch on your regular machine. Traditionally, overlock seams are pressed to one side. An exception to the rule, however, is the flatlock seam. This is an ornamental overlock seam that can be effectively used on the right side and the wrong side, as well as in the center of a garment. Commonly used on sweatshirts, the looping is created by sewing the wrong sides of the garment together. For applying lace to lingerie, here the right sides were sewn to produce the ladder-like stitch. And in patchwork, on quilts, skirts, pillows, or throws, the flatlock seam is easily mastered on the Ultralock. Simply adjust the green tension dial to 0 and the yellow dial to 9. And once again, make sure that the knife is rotated into the non-operating position. Then place the fabrics with the right sides together and sew seam, guiding along the inside edge of the throat plate. Then simply pull the fabric layers apart to open the seam and make the stitches lie flat. Decorative overlocking using the overlocked edge lends a crisp, one-of-a-kind design finish to necklines, scarves, napkins, and placemats. And with the Ultralock, a wide array of contrasting threads such as woolly nylon, lustrous rayon, metallic, silk, narrow ribbon, lightweight yarn, or pearl cotton can be used to lend that final ornamental touch. Let's take a look at what an attractive pearl cotton edging can do for this placemat. It's important to note that when using decorative thread in your Ultralock, it is only necessary to rethread the orange upper looper. To do so, just loosen the tension slightly, follow the normal threading sequence, remembering to skip the second orange thread guide, and then sew. That's all there is to it. The result speaks for itself. Rolled hems are the perfect way to add both decorative and functional edge stitching to garments and accessories. And with the Ultralock, rolling a hem has never been easier. To make a perfect rolled hem, first raise the needle into the highest position and take out the front screw to remove the throat plate, pulling thread off chaining finger as you go. Attach the rolled hem plate. Replace the screw and make sure the width is set to M. Turn stitch length dial to F. Tighten gold lower looper tension to create a smoother rolled edge. Place fabric on plate right side up and stitch. To ensure that the starting threads are not caught, give them a little tug as you begin. Just because an accessory has a single name, don't let that mislead you into thinking it only performs one function. The Ultralock's rolled hem plate can also make pin tucking a snap. Just turn the movable knife into the non-operating position, Fold the fabric in two, keeping the top side up. Place the fabric under the foot with the fold resting against the wall of the edge guide. Then lower the foot and sew. Perfect pin tucks every time. And if you're working with shears or thin silkies like this camisole, you can also use the rolled hem plate to make a delicate hairline 3-thread rolled seam as well. Just change the stitch length to 2. To make an edge finish more durable, the Ultralock allows you to insert a twill tape or narrow ribbon while over edge stitching. To do so, simply remove the front cover screw and install the tape guide attachment. Run the twill tape through the upper and middle thread guides, then begin to stitch, feeding the tape or ribbon through the hole in the presser foot to help stabilize the seam. This feature can be used for reinforcement as well as decorative applications. Blind hemming or stitching provides a durable hem finish that is almost invisible. Some of the Ultralocks come with a hem guide and some do not. The blind hem foot, however, is available as an additional accessory for all machines. To blind hem, set the stitch length dial at 5. Lock the blind hem guide in place, lining it up with the right needle. Place fold of fabric along the vertical part of the guide, extending the raw edge under the guide. Then stitch the hem, making sure to barely catch the stitches in the fold. You may, however, prefer stitching with the blind hem foot. To do so, remove the presser foot and attach the blind hem foot. Place the folded edge of the fabric against the long edge of the foot, then stitch as before. Gathering is perhaps the most popular method of controlling fullness in a garment or in home furnishings like pillows or dust ruffles. There are many methods, but gathering with the Singer Ultralock is without a doubt the easiest and quickest of all. To gather, simply turn needle tension to 9, set stitch length to 5, then sew a single layer of fabric through the machine and it will automatically gather. If more fullness is needed, just hold the needle thread to produce even tighter gathers. Finally, we'd like to give you some Ultralock tips on sewing curves, corners, and stopping in the middle of a seam. With the Singer Ultralock, you can turn these trouble areas into simplicity itself. Curves. The Ultralock stitch is so narrow that you won't even have to clip your curves. Just ease your fabric straight so that its edge is even with the edge of the throat plate. And that's all there is to it. Now you can add ribbing to a curved area or finish seams and facings fast and effortlessly. And corners no longer pose any problems either. For outside corners, just stitch one edge through, then bring the fabric around to the front and simply stitch the next edge through. For inside corners, clip the corner to the desired seam allowance, then merely straighten the fabric and sew straight through. And with the Ultralock, stopping in the middle of a seam is no longer a major ordeal. When edge stitching, just sew to the point at which you wish to stop, lift the presser foot, fold the fabric at an angle to the left, and then sew off. Maintenance of the Ultralock is easy. Oil, delint, and change the needle periodically. The professional stitching capabilities of the Singer Ultralock offer a wide world of practical and creative sewing options. We've only explored a few applications of the Ultralock. Your creativity will dictate the others. And as you have just seen, the Ultralock will cut your sewing hours in half while giving your work a whole new professional look.